What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is your boy Jay Lay, bringing us a 2024 NFL first round mock draft. It's a good one. I tried to make it as realistic as possible. I included a lot of trades. I hope you guys enjoy it. Without further ado, though, let's just get to the video. Alright, so starting off with the Chicago Bears at pick number 1. Not going to spend any time on this at all. Caleb Williams, I think that's an open and shut case. Pick number 2 is where it gets a little interesting. The Commanders, really two main options here that they could go with, either Drake Maye or Jayden Daniels. At first, really in the start of mock draft season, it seemed like Drake Maye was a consensus number 2 to the Commanders. Then over the last month or two, it's really turned into Jayden Daniels as the consensus number 2 pick for the Commanders. And recently, within the last week or two, there's been reports that Jayden Daniels does not want to play for the Commanders and that they had a meeting and it didn't go very well. So it's kind of been very iffy on who the Commanders are going to take right now. I've always said from the beginning, I didn't think it was as they were locked in on one prospect more than the other. I think because it's very realistic. Caleb Williams is going to be off the board at 1, so they know they're going to be faced with either Drake Maye or Jayden Daniels. I still think it's going to be Jayden Daniels. I'm not sure how true the rumors are that he does not want to play for the Commanders or that, they don't really like him as... I don't even understand exactly what happened. I just know, like I said, that there were rumors that there was some tension between the two parties. I still think Jayden Daniels goes at 2 to the Commanders. Really, in terms of Drake Maye and Jayden Daniels, it just comes down to what you prefer more in a quarterback. And I think Jayden Daniels is kind of more what the Commanders are going to be looking for in a quarterback. I also think he's more NFL ready. I think Drake Maye, when you draft him, and maybe with Jayden Daniels, but I think you're definitely going to want to sit Drake Maye for at least a few weeks behind a veteran quarterback, just because I don't feel like he's as NFL ready. But, like I said, who knows? Maybe they both start. Maybe they both sit for a while. I don't know. But in terms of just NFL ready, win now, I do think Jayden Daniels is the more NFL ready. And so, like I said, it could very easily be Drake Maye at pick number 2 for the Commanders, but I just still feel like Jayden Daniels, even despite these rumors, is going to be the Commanders' pick at number 2. Pick number 3, following New England Patriots. Every day there's a new report that the Patriots either want to trade up, trade back. They like Drake Maye, they like Jayden Daniels. It's constantly changing. I don't think anyone other than inside the Patriots organization knows what they want to do at 3. Or, like I said, they could trade down. A couple trade down options would be like with the New York Giants or with the Vikings are kind of the two main trade down options. I personally don't think they will unless they get offered 3 first-round picks and then, I don't think they're going to trade down with the Giants. I think if they're going to trade down, it's going to be with the Vikings to get 2 first-round picks in 2024, and then, their 2025 and 2026 first-rounders as well. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're willing to give up that much, and I think they do like Drake Maye. Everything that's come out of there have been very high and positive reports on Drake Maye. Now, like I said, with the Commanders, I don't know if Drake Maye is going to start right away. I could definitely see them not benching him, but sitting him for maybe half of the first season to all of his rookie season behind Jacoby Brissett, who's, a good veteran, a good guy to learn behind. And I think that's definitely an approach they'll take, especially after seeing how Mac Jones and his early career went. So Drake Maye, again, and, there's even talk that they could stay here at 3 and pick someone like Marvin Harrison or Joe Alt. Ton of different options for the Patriots, but I do think the most likely is Drake Maye or Jayden Daniels to the Patriots at 3. If Jayden Daniels fell and Drake Maye went at 2, I still think the Patriots would go with Jayden Daniels. Maybe they'd be a little more open to trading down at 3 if Jayden Daniels was there and not Drake Maye, but I think if Drake Maye is there at 3, they are going to go and get their hopeful franchise quarterback of the future. Next up, pick 4, we have the Arizona Cardinals. Interesting one here. Do they stay here at pick 4 and get Marvin Harrison, or do they trade down? Right now, you're going to have teams, the Vikings, the Giants, some other teams that want to trade up and get J.J. McCarthy. Actually, I don't know about the Giants, but you're definitely going to have the Vikings looking to trade up and get in front of some of these other quarterback-needy teams. I actually don't think the Cardinals are going to trade down for the main reason that they already have 6 picks in the top 100 of this year's draft. And then if you include pick 104, they have 7 picks in the top 104 picks of this draft. They don't really need any more draft capital. Now, yes, it's a very bad team in a very rebuilding stage, and they're going to need a lot of picks, but they already do have a lot of picks. I think at this point, you just get, and their receiving room is probably the worst in the league right now, so I think you just stay here at pick 4 and get Marvin Harrison. You get a true wide receiver 1 for Kyler Murray. Like I said, I think trading down is a possibility, especially if they do get a good offer. You would have a ton of picks if you traded down with the Vikings, got 11, 23. That's 3 first-rounders. That's 10 in the first 100 picks of the draft. Possibility, you could definitely reload that entire team. But I think, like I said, with the capital they already have here, 4, 27, 35. You have an early second-rounder as well, 66, 71, 90, and then 104. I don't think you really need to trade down here, especially when Marvin Harrison is on the board. I think you just stay at pick 4 and you get Marvin Harrison and get a true wide receiver for Kyler Murray. Now, pick 5, this is where we see our trade down. I think Jim Harbaugh. Now, if Marvin Harrison is on the board, let's say the Cardinals trade down, Vikings or another team jumps up and takes a quarterback, and you have really the first overall pick in terms of non-quarterbacks, which is how Jim Harbaugh worded it, I think they would definitely be interested in taking Marvin Harrison. He's not there, and I don't really think Jim Harbaugh's type of style and coaching is going to be to take a quarterback at 5 overall, especially with some of the other team needs. Now, wide receiver obviously is still a big need for the Chargers, but especially in a class where it's so thick and talented at receiver, I think they're definitely going to look to the later second, third, fourth round to target a receiver. Or probably they're going to double dip at receiver and take 2 or 3 even. But I think they wait till the later rounds. I think here is where they trade down with the Minnesota Vikings. I think teams are going to jump over the Giants. If J.J. McCarthy is there at 6, I think they will definitely take McCarthy. Now, I don't really see them trading up to get him or another quarterback. I don't really like to see them get into day 2 draft capital with the offense they have. I think they have bigger priorities. And, still stick with Daniel Jones maybe for one more year and, at least take a quarterback in like one of the later rounds. But give Daniel Jones one more shot and kind of weaponize your offense as best you can. I think the Chargers are a better team to trade down here. They need draft capital. They need a lot of help on that team. Really a very underrated or not talked about thing is they need a lot of help. And, the defense, the offensive line, there's very few spots on the Chargers that I think you could be comfortable with at this point. So I think the Vikings trade up here. Like I said, jump over the Giants, potentially stop the Broncos and Raiders and other teams looking to trade up from getting Drake May. We're just going to do 5 for 11 and 23, just what would affect this mock draft. For the Chargers, maybe like a first round next year and like 129, I don't know. But for this one, like I said, it's just going to be the picks that will affect this draft. Vikings trade up and get their franchise hopeful quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. So sitting here at pick number 6, another obvious pick here. I feel like if no quarterback is available at pick 6 or they don't trade up, Malik Nabers. Now, interesting, like I said, I think it's a very small chance they trade up to get a quarterback, mainly because that offense is not just a quarterback away from contention. They need to build around. They need help on the offensive line. They desperately need receivers. They may even need a tight end. Darren Waller talks about him possibly retiring. He was pretty bad last year, even if he doesn't retire. So, they really need help all over that offense, even a running back. They need help everywhere on the offense. So I don't think the Giants would want to trade up here. They'd have to use a lot of their draft capital to trade up and get a quarterback. And I don't think you really want to trade up and get a quarterback and then leave him in that offense because that offense needs a lot of work. I think more likely is they stay at 6, they get Malik Nabers or a tackle, or they get some help on that offense, and then maybe in maybe Bo Nix in round 2 or get a quarterback in one of the later rounds. And then see what happens over the offseason. Rather you stay with Daniel Jones for another year or a quarterback that you drafted in one of the later rounds. But I don't really see them I don't see them trading up. Maybe if McCarthy is there at 6, they take him. But even then, I don't see McCarthy falling to 6. And I don't know if I would even see them picking him at 6 just because, like I said, that offense needs so much help and so many different areas. So I think here you get Malik Nabers, you get whoever your quarterback is, whether it's Daniel Jones or another rookie quarterback, you get him a true wide receiver 1 stud. And, hopefully, like I said, that can start to be a bolster for that offense. Pick 7, the first really obvious pick here besides Caleb Williams, I think it's Joe Alt. You need an offensive tackle. You need help on that offensive line. Signing Calvin Ridley did help as well because now I think it makes the choice even easier. You don't need a receiver as badly here as you would before Calvin Ridley. You can focus on protecting Will Levis. The best tackle prospect in recent memory. He's going to be great. And I think you get Joe Alt there at pick number 7. Pick number 8, a couple of different ways you could go here. I know a lot of people started off thinking it would be consensus edge rusher, whether it's Laiatu Latu, Dallas Turner, Jared Verse. Seeing more people say, too, they could go Rome Odunze if he's there. And I think there's a good possibility either Rome Odunze or Malik Nabers, one of those 2 receivers, falls to 8. They could potentially just go all in on offense there. I think it's a possibility, but I think Raheem Morris would much rather get some help on that defensive front. They desperately need an edge rusher. Comes down to, do you want Laiatu Latu, Dallas Turner, or Jared Verse? All 3 are going to be great. All 3 are great. It's just really going to depend on what coaches see or like better. I think Dallas Turner is the best edge rusher in the class. Again, like I said, it's all personal preference. We're going to go Dallas Turner. I think actually Laiatu Latu on some sites is now the betting favorite to be picked by the Falcons at 8. So, hey, who knows? I think the one thing with Laiatu Latu is the injury concerns. If it wasn't for that, I think he definitely would be the consensus edge rusher 1. But that might hold him back a little bit. It might not. Like I said, he's favored to go to the Falcons at 8. So It may or may not hold him back. Either way, though, I mean, whoever needs an edge rusher, you're getting three great guys here: Laiatu Latu, Jared Verse, or Dallas Turner. They go with Dallas Turner here, putting the Bears on the clock at pick number 9. Now, same thing with the Falcons. I think you could go wide receiver here and get Rome Odunze. I think that would be the best wide receiver. I mean, that'd be one of the best wide receiver cores in the league, and probably the best ever for a rookie quarterback. You would have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and then Rome Odunze. I think that'd be pretty great. But I do think you need to get an edge rusher to play opposite of Montez Sweat. I think it's a big need. And like I said, I mean, Keenan Allen and DJ Moore is such a great duo as it is. I think if you can get a receiver in the later rounds, pick 75 probably, I think you would be just fine there. I mean, maybe they go all in. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that would be pretty great getting Rome Odunze. I mean, like I said, you could argue that'd be the best wide receiver trio in the league. But I think here, Laiatu Latu or Jared Verse are your bigger options, or Dallas Turner if he's there, are your kind of more priorities right now. I'm going to go with Jared Verse. Like I said, very possible they go Rome Odunze, very possible Laiatu Latu. I also think possibility that they go someone like Byron Murphy to get a big guy in the center of that defensive line. I think it's going to be Jared Verse. I think Verse is an absolute beast, and I've kind of seen him flying under the radar. I'm kind of surprised that he's as underrated as he is, or at least how some people talk about him. I think he's a beast. And like I said, Laiatu Latu, again, the injury concerns for me, I could definitely see it being a factor, but I also could see some owners and managers saying, this guy is an absolute freak, and he kind of is almost like I've seen him kind of being compared to Max Crosby. So maybe it gets the injury concerns are put past him, maybe not. I mean, I don't see him falling out of more than pick 25. I mean, he's definitely a first rounder, but it could cause him to fall a little bit and have guys like Turner and Verse picked over him. Maybe not. Like I said, we'll find out on Thursday, but the Bears do go ahead and get an edge rusher to play opposite. And I think Jared Verse is great, so he plays opposite of Montez Sweat. Pick number 10, Rome Odunze. This is going to be another great receiving core here. Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, and Rome Odunze. I think it's the perfect option here. Brock Bowers is available too. That's something to keep in mind on. I think if they're faced with Bowers and Odunze, they could go Brock Bowers. I think, they need a tight end, but I think here getting a wide receiver trio like that for Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, I think Garrett Wilson is going to be a top 5 receiver next year with a healthy Aaron Rodgers. He's incredible. He's very underrated. Mike Williams, Mike Williams' health, it always seems like health concerns play a factor in Mike Williams down the stretch of the season. So I think you do want to get a receiver, even, factor that out and just get a great wide receiver trio here for Aaron Rodgers. Again, Brock Bowers, I think it's very possible, and if he is on the board and no top 3 receivers are Rome Odunze, Malik Nabers, and Marvin Harrison, if none of them are on the board, I think Brock Bowers is definitely going to be the go-to right-away option for them at 10. Tackle still an option. I think there's a couple different ways they could go here, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be Rome Odunze, and you build a great wide receiver trio there for Aaron Rodgers. Moving on now to pick 11, we have the Chargers, who traded down with the Vikings. Brock Bowers here on the board might seem like the consensus right-away option for the Chargers. We are going to take a bit of a different approach here. Now, I think Bowers would especially if they trade down, I think he would definitely be very high on their boards. Even at pick 5, I think they could potentially look at Bowers. He'd instantly be Justin Herbert's number 1. He's great, pass catcher, run blocker. He's everything. I think he'd definitely be a Jim Harbaugh favorite in this draft. However, I'm going to look at Talisi Fuaga. I think he is the most Jim Harbaugh type of offensive lineman you can get. He can play tackle. There's also, some people said he could even be fit into guard. Either way, the Chargers need a right tackle very badly. And I think he's the type of offensive lineman Jim Harbaugh would look for, just very fast, powerful. Probably, some people think, like I said, he's kind of a versatile offensive lineman where he can play guard or tackle. I believe he would start at right tackle right away. They definitely need a right tackle there. And he just seems, like I said, he seems like a Jim Harbaugh type of offensive lineman. Brock Bowers, very possible too, especially, like I said, if they trade down and he's there at 11. But I just like the Talisi Fuaga pick here, especially since Rome Odunze has gone out. If they went with, if the Jets had gone a different way and Rome Odunze fell at 11, I could potentially see them going a wide receiver then. I think it'd be too good to be true, though, Rome Odunze falling to the Chargers at pick 11. Brock Bowers or Talisi Fuaga are the 2 main options here, though. And I'm going to go Talisi Fuaga. You got to improve that offensive line. And I think Fuaga is just an overall, I think he's one of the best tackle prospects in the draft. And like I said, there is that potential versatility option there, too. So Talisi Fuaga at pick 11 to the Chargers. Pick 12, Broncos. Now, this is where it really sucks that they have no day 2 pick, because if you had a day 2 pick here, you could go with someone like Brock Bowers, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Laiatu Latu, so many different ways you could go here, and then potentially get someone like Bo Nix or, Spencer Rattler. I doubt Penix will be there. But, you could get your quarterback there in day 2, since, like I said, since you're not in the position to choose one of the top 4 quarterbacks, McCarthy, May, or any of the other guys. But they have no day 2 pick. They have the next pick is round 2 pick. The next pick they have is pick 76 in the 3rd round. And I don't think they're going to be comfortable with going out there with Jarrett Stidham for this next season. I don't think you are. But at the same time, it's like, do we want to choose Bo Nix or Michael Penix here at 12? Or do we want to wait? Because if we wait 76, I mean, you look, PFF says guys like, I mean, you know, and it could change, but I mean, you're looking at like Spencer Rattler, Michael Pratt, Joe Milton, Jordan Travis kind of range. And at that point, I would say it's almost better just to stick with Jarrett Stidham. So it's a very weird situation. It's either you overdraft here at pick 12 and go with Bo Nix or Michael Penix, or you wait till pick 76 and you get someone like Spencer Rattler. But at that point, I feel like you would almost be better just investing in a different, investing somewhere else on your team in that pick and just staying with Jarrett Stidham. It's very weird. I think what they're going to look to do is trade down. And I think there's one team in particular that's going to be looking to trade up here, and that team is the Indianapolis Colts here. I think they're going to see Brock Bowers fall past the Bears, Jets, and Chargers. I think it's too good to be true. They're going to move up here to get Brock Bowers. Like I said, we're not going to do anything else for the trades here, just what's going to affect the draft. And I think it's a dream situation for the Broncos because I think realistically they know they have to take a quarterback here in round 1 if they want to have a rookie quarterback playing this next year. Because like I said, I mean, at that point later in the draft, you might as well just stick with Stidham. I think they trade down, dream scenario there. They do get extra capital as well. I don't know what that'll be, but I think that's a great scenario for the Broncos. Colts trade up and they are going to get Brock Bowers. Now, is that going to happen? I mean, I think it's a possibility if he falls. Now, if Brock Bowers isn't there, I think they stay put. They get someone like Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, kind of the 2 main consensus picks there for the Colts. You could look at someone like Leatu Latu, but I think Brock Bowers there. They need a tight end badly. They need receiving help besides Michael Pittman, and I think you get Anthony Richardson, a great receiving option here. And he's also, like I said, I mean, he can do everything. He can run block. He's a do-it-all tight end, and I think you get Anthony Richardson, a great weapon there in Brock Bowers. 13 overall, we have the Raiders. Now, Michael Penix here has been rumored to go, or Bo Nix, predominantly Michael Penix has been rumored to go to the Raiders at 13 overall. I don't like that at all. Now, if you want to take a quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round, I say go for it. But 2 things. One, I've heard in the Raiders head coach, Antonio Pierce, he's been very high on Aiden O'Connell. He's spoken very high of him. So, and he said he wants him to compete for the starting job. And then also bringing in Gardner Minshew. I don't really see why you would spend your 13th overall pick on a quarterback when you already have a year 2 quarterback who looked promising. I mean, is he your franchise guy? Probably not, but you never know. I mean, Antonio Pierce, like I said, spoke very highly on him and, seems to really like what he's doing this offseason. And then you also bring in Gardner Minshew, who was pretty solid last year for the Colts, stepping in for Anthony Richardson while he was out due to injury. So I don't really see the point of drafting a quarterback here at pick 13 or even trading up. I mean, I think that'd be crazy if they traded up. I know there's rumors that they might. If they can find a team looking to trade down. I think they're better off, though, getting someone else here, building around that offense or defense, depending on what they want to do. And then, maybe investing in a quarterback in like round 2 or 3, depending on who's there. But I'm not a big fan of them taking a quarterback here at 13, especially I'm not a fan at all of them trading up. I think you're better off going offensive tackle. Talisi Fuaga is off the board. I think if he was there at pick 13, I think that would be a no-brainer. Here, though, we're going to go with J.C. Latham, in my opinion, the 3rd best tackle in this class. I mean, he can do it all. He's only 21, 6'6", 335. He's a monster. He's athletic. And they do need a right tackle badly, so I think you go with J.C. Latham here. Like I said, if Fuaga was on the board, I think they would go with Talisi Fuaga instead. But I do think whoever their quarterback is, whether it's Minshew, rookie quarterback, or Aiden O'Connell, I think that's a very good tackle duo with Colton Miller and J.C. Latham there. So you protect whoever your quarterback is. I think, other options, you could go cornerback, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. You could, maybe Leatu Latu, pair up him with Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins on that defensive front. A couple of different options there, but I think J.C. Latham is the most likely, or in this situation, I like J.C. Latham there just because you get a good tackle duo there and protect whoever your quarterback is. Pick 14, the Saints on the board. A couple different options. I think with Brock Bowers off the board, I think it's definitely going to be a tackle here. Ryan Ramczyk, the reports came out that he's not healing as quickly as he was expected to. So I think you go tackle. I think you could go Mims, get a right tackle. Fashanu. I really like Fashanu as well. J.C. Latham is my 4th. I like Fashanu as my 3rd best tackle, and then J.C. Latham as my 4th. But the Raiders picked Latham because they don't need a left tackle. I like Fashanu here. You get him to play left tackle, and he's very athletic too, so maybe you could even try him at right tackle, depending on what happens with Ryan Ramczyk. But I mean, either way, most likely he plays left tackle for the Saints. But I mean, like I said, he's a freak. He's athletic. He can kind of do it all, and you could, like I said, maybe put him at right tackle for Ramczyk. But I mean, either way, wherever you put him, he's going to be good. And so they get a tackle there at pick 14. Pick 15, I think the Broncos go Bo Nix here. Like I said, I mean, it's still not ideal going with Bo Nix there at 15. And I think they go with Bo Nix over Michael Penix just because he seems like a more Sean Payton type quarterback. He seems just like a quarterback who would fit really well with Sean Payton. Maybe they go Michael Penix. But I think Bo Nix would be a very good fit there with Sean Payton. And I think, too, I mean, if they can trade down to 15, I think that'd be great. I think that would be, or just trade down at all and get Bo Nix in the first round. I think that's great to at least acquire some more assets. You're still getting a good quarterback, or at least, a solid quarterback. And I do believe that Bo Nix will be an instant starter for the Broncos week 1 of the 2024 season. So they go Bo Nix here at pick 15, and they get their hopeful franchise quarterback of the future. Up next at pick 16, we have the Seahawks. Couple of different nice options they could go with. Cornerback, sneaky possibility here. Don't rule it out. I don't think they're going to go with a cornerback here at pick 16. I think they have bigger needs, but I also think it is a possibility. Someone like DeGene, Arnold, Mitchell, all possibilities there. Sneaky possibilities, not likely, but I think there's a chance. Latu there at pick 16, definitely. I mean, he's available. That's definitely going to be someone they would really consider. Byron Murphy, Johnny Newton, all possibilities there. I think they go with the more basic option. Now, you have Jackson Powers-Johnson on the board, who is great. He's going to be a great center somewhere, or at least somewhere on the interior. I think they go with Troy Fautanu, mainly just to reunite him with offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb from Washington. Fautanu, I don't think he would start at tackle, though. You already have Abe Lucas and Charles Cross there on the tackle positions. I think you would move him to either center or guard. I know they desperately need help all around on that interior offensive line. And then PFF, and I know a lot of sites do have him listed as a guard. PFF has him listed as a tackle, but they do say he has starting caliber traits for center or guard. And I think that is where he's going to end up. And like I said, I mean, over the offseason, you can experiment with him. Maybe you try him at tackle. I don't think so. I think you would use him more of a guard or center role and move him around. I mean, you could try him at left guard, right guard, and center, see what he likes best, and see how he fits in there. But I do think he will, at least at the beginning, tried at guard or center, and I do think that he will end up finding a home in one of those spots there because they really need help all in that interior offensive line, and I think Fautanu would definitely be a nice addition, especially, like I said, linking up with his former offensive coordinator and staying with him in Ryan Grubb. So Troy Fautanu there at pick 16 to the Seahawks. Pick 17, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Two main options here, defensive lineman or cornerback. I've seen a lot of people mock receiver here, like Brian Thomas or Adonai Mitchell. I don't think they go receiver here, not this early, not with some of the other needs they have. And really, the receiving core is not that bad. I don't think it's definitely like pick 17 bad either. Cooper DeJean here is kind of the basic consensus answer here, and that is what I like as well. Quinyon Mitchell I really like. I think you could go interior defensive line. They definitely need some help on that defensive line. Byron Murphy, Leatu Latu, two options there. But I think you go cornerback here. I think you go Cooper DeJean not by far, but I think he is definitely the cornerback one in this class. I mean, he can play everywhere. He can play outside. He can play in the safety. He can play in the slot. He can play in any coverage scheme. He can do everything. And the Jags safety is the Jags secondary is definitely a secondary that needs help kind of everywhere. So with DeJean, you can put him at safety. Put him at slot, put him at outside. Like I said, he can play everywhere. So you experiment with him and you kind of use him as an everywhere type secondary member. And you get Cooper DeJean there at pick 17. They could, like I said, go defensive lineman there, edge rusher. But I think you get a cornerback there in Cooper DeJean that's going to be great, and he can help you just wherever you need help. Pick 18 here, you go with we have the Cincinnati Bengals. I think right here, you look at Byron Murphy. They lost DJ Reader this offseason. They're definitely going to be looking to replace him. Also could go with someone like Terrion Arnold or Quinyon Mitchell here. They need help in the secondary at safety and at cornerback. Quinyon Mitchell, I think, is a sleeper pick here if he's available, which I do think he will be. They do, like I said, need secondary help. But we're going to go with Byron Murphy here. I think he's the best defensive tackle in the class, or best defensive lineman, and he is the instant replacement for DJ Reed. Next up, we have the Rams. Now, I could see the Rams potentially looking to trade up with the Jags or Seahawks, depending on if Byron Murphy is there, because I do think Byron Murphy is a pretty big favorite to go to the Bengals if he's available. I think they could definitely trade up because they're going to want to I don't think you're ever going to be able to replace Aaron Donald, but find Aaron Donald's replacement since he retired on that defensive line. They did not in this one though. I don't see them trading up realistically. They don't have a whole lot of draft capital to trade up with. They do have 4 picks in the top 100, which is nice. So maybe not realistic. I think you look then at Laiatu Latu, get an edge rusher here. I mean, I think if he falls to 19, that should be a no-brainer. If he and Murphy are there, I think it'd be a little more of a debate. But I think if Laiatu Latu is there at pick 19, they go with him. I don't think Sean McVay is going to look at the injury concerns as much here since he's at pick 19. They need an edge rusher. They need help on that defensive front. And I think you go with Laiatu Latu there. Maybe Johnny Newton. I've kind of seen him mocked everywhere. Some people say he could go in like the second round. Some people say he's going to be one of the top picks of the draft. And so it's a possibility, but I like Laiatu Latu here. Get an edge rusher, get a great edge rusher here for the Rams and help that defensive front. And then pick 20, we have the Steelers. Kind of, again, a basic pick here. I like Jackson Powers Johnson. Couple different options, though. I could see them maybe going for Jordan Morgan here. Get a left tackle, kind of guard. You know, he can play wherever. Tackle. But I like Jackson Powers Johnson here. You need a center. He can also play guard. I mean, you can move him around on the interior if you wanted to, but I think he would definitely be a plug and play here at pick 20 for the Steelers. Could go cornerback. Quinyon Mitchell and Terrion Arnold both there at 20. They definitely need help in the secondary. So that is something I think to note, that kind of an underrated pick. I haven't seen a lot of people mock a cornerback there to the Steelers. I think it's definitely a possibility there. But with Jackson Powers Johnson, I think you just want to beef up that interior offensive line. That'd be a major addition to I don't think the offensive line would be solidified yet. I think you still need to get a left tackle, but I think Jackson Powers Johnson would be a big step in the right direction for the offensive line. So they go Jackson Powers Johnson at pick 20. Next up, pick 21, we have the Dolphins. Now, JPJ gone one pick before. They definitely would have picked him, in my opinion. They need a center. They need help on that offensive line, but the Steelers snagged him at 20. I think the Dolphins could definitely look to trade up too. I mean, if JPJ is there and they see him falling, I think they could potentially look to trade up if they really like him. They do need a center. I don't think they'll trade up, but, possibility if they really are high on him. Couple of different ways you could go now. Offensive tackle, I think you need a long-term left tackle, you need a center, and then potentially a right tackle. Those are the 3 main things I think they're going to look to address in the draft. And then a couple other options as well. Defensive linemen, they need help on the defensive line. Jarzon Newton there, still available. Pick 21, definitely a possibility. You could go with an edge rusher. Chop Robinson, I really like there, still on the board as well. I think here you're actually going to look at Graham Barton. Played left tackle. He has PFF actually really likes him as a center. So I like Graham Barton there mainly because you get him, you can probably try him at center and then maybe even learn behind Teron Armstead for a year or two and then take over at left tackle potentially. So I think Barton is kind of an experimental guy where you can do whatever you want with him. You can maybe, like PFF says, put him at center. They do need a center. So put him at center and then maybe when Teron Armstead leaves, you move him to tackle, or you could do a couple different things with Graham Barton, and I think that's someone who the Dolphins need on that offensive line as a versatility guy who you can kind of move around. Maybe you put him at right tackle even. Maybe you put him at right tackle and then Teron Armstead retires in a few years and you move him to left tackle. I mean, like I said, a couple different things you can do with Barton, experiment with him. But I think that is who the Dolphins go with here just because you need some versatility on that offensive line. Pick 22, Quinyon Mitchell here. I don't think... Now, Quinyon Mitchell, I think, could definitely be gone much earlier than pick 22. If he's there at pick 22, though, for the Eagles, I think it should be a no-brainer. They desperately need help in the secondary. Darius Slay and James Bradbury were horrible last year. That whole secondary and defense was in general. I think, too, you could look potentially at someone like Peyton Wilson. You need help at linebacker and you need help at secondary. Also, rumors that A.J. Brown could be gone. I mean, I think you need a wide receiver 3 regardless, and then, potentially A.J. Brown in a trade. I don't think he's going to be traded, but just rumors. So you could look at someone like Brian Thomas or Adonai Mitchell as a long shot possibility. I think cornerback is the main focus here for the Eagles at pick 22. I don't really think they'll pick a linebacker there. First round seems like a bit of a reach, but Peyton Wilson is going to be great, so maybe, and they do need linebacker help really bad. Also, Howie Roseman loves his pass rushers, loves his defensive front guys. I mean, Jarzon Newton there at pick 22. I wouldn't be surprised if he said, "Let's just get another, help on the defensive line," which they don't even need help. But I wouldn't be surprised if he went with Jarzon Newton there. But I think this year the secondary needs so much help. I don't think it's possible to look past that, and especially with guys like Terrion Arnold and Quinyon Mitchell. I think they like both of them. Both are great, but I like Quinyon Mitchell a little bit more than Terrion Arnold. So we're going to go with Quinyon Mitchell there at pick 22. Terrion Arnold could definitely be gone before then too. Terrion Arnold could go to the Eagles at 22. But for this one, we're going to go with Quinyon Mitchell there at pick 22. 23 is the Chargers. Now, receiver, definitely the consensus pick here, Adonai Mitchell or Brian Thomas. But I think if Terrion Arnold is there, which for this mock draft he fell, very I think it's a much smaller chance that he is there at pick 23. I know some of you guys probably are going to say he's a top 10 pick, which I agree. I think he definitely could be as well. For this one, he fell. If he is there at pick 23, I don't think Jim Harbaugh, and the Chargers trade down to get pick 23, I don't think Jim Harbaugh is going to look at anyone else on the board. I think it's going to be a no-brainer. Terrion Arnold. And look, I get it. Adonai Mitchell, Brian Thomas look very intriguing here, and getting a wide receiver for Justin Herbert. I know you need help in the receiving core, but I mean, that secondary is so bad. And I think Jim Harbaugh is going to see Terrion Arnold and jump the second he gets the opportunity to get him. I think, too, for receiving core, you're going to look at someone like Roman Wilson. I think Roman Wilson to the Chargers is a real possibility in round 2. So I think they could definitely use their pick 37 on Roman Wilson. Not your only receiver you're going to draft, but I do think Jim Harbaugh is going to have a soft spot in his heart for Roman Wilson. Roman Wilson's good. I mean, he's a good player, a good receiver, so I think that's going to be kind of their main first target at wide receiver is going to be round 2, Roman Wilson. Terrion Arnold, like I said, very unrealistic. I feel like, I mean, he fell in this mock draft. Is he going to fall in the actual draft? Unlikely, but I do think there's a chance. And if he does fall at pick 23 to the Chargers, they are not going to hesitate to get him. And I mean, he's great. He can play in any system. He can play kind of anywhere you want him to. And I think that's exactly who Jim Harbaugh would love to get. Now, the Cowboys is interesting. Rumors that Dak Prescott may not be returning next year. Now, do I think they go quarterback? Absolutely not. And I do think Dak Prescott more than likely will. A couple of big needs. You need help on the offensive line. You need a left tackle. You need a center. After losing both of them in free agency. No one here, I mean, Amarius Mims potentially you could go with. I like him at right tackle. Maybe you could put him at left tackle and kind of experiment there. But I think they actually go receiver here. Adonai Mitchell out of Texas. It makes sense. They need a wide receiver too. I mean, you have Brandon Cooks, but I think you want to get another wide receiver there for whoever your quarterback is in the long term. Adonai Mitchell's a beast. You could look at cornerbacks. Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid McKinstry, definitely possibilities as well. Jarzon Newton, they need help on the defensive line. Jordan Morgan, maybe. I could actually see them going with a tackle here too. Jordan Morgan, you need help. You need a left tackle. You need a center. So, Jordan Morgan, PFF says too, he can play tackle or guard, so you could go with someone like that, get some versatility and move him around and kind of fill whatever position you need. But I like... Actually, no, we're going to go with Jordan Morgan. I'm going to change my mind here. We're going to go with Jordan Morgan here. 6'6", 320. He's a beast. And PFF says that he can play. And I've heard this from other sources too. Like you can put him at tackle. That's where he started all of college. But you can also put him at like guard or center if you need to. And they do need a center. So most likely, if the Cowboys took him here at pick 24, he would take over for Tyron Smith. And I think that's the most likely. But, the versatility is nice because he does give you that option to play in some other spots on the line. Pick 25, we have the Packers. And we are going to go with Nate Wiggins. Now, a couple possibilities. Jarzon Newton, I think that would be nice to get some help on the interior defensive line. Amarius Mims. They do need a tackle, and I think if Jordan Morgan was there at pick 25, they would definitely go with him. Tyler Guyan, potentially an option there, but I think Nate Wiggins is too good to pass up on and pair him with Jair Alexander in the secondary. They already got a safety in Xavier McKinney over the offseason, so I don't think they're really going to address that early in the draft as they were projected to before they got Xavier McKinney. I think they go with Nate Wiggins, athletic, fast. Everyone remembers his combine, incredible 40-yard dash. And I think he'd be a great pair for Jair Alexander in that secondary. Next up, pick 26, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Two main ways I could see this going, either cornerback or edge rusher. Now, they desperately need help in the secondary, especially after losing Carlton Davis. Kool-Aid McKinstry there at pick 26, definitely a big possibility. However, Chop Robinson, I really like Chop Robinson. And in terms of actual talent and the ceiling he has, I think he could be one of the best players in this class. Freak athlete. Now, there are a few things he needs to kind of learn and mature and develop on, but if he can develop into the true talent he has, I think he could be one of the best players, period, in this entire draft class. I really like him, and I think the Bucs defense definitely improved since last year, especially the defensive front. Kalijah Kancey looked good. Yaya Diaby looks great. He looks like an absolute steal. Vita Vea is going to be great, but I think if you can get, Chop Robinson and you can kind of develop him and unlock his full potential, I think that would be a very good defensive front. And like I said, Chop Robinson, in terms of ceiling, I think he has one of the highest ceilings in this class. So I think you go ahead and take Chop Robinson here. And I think he's either going to be boom or bust, but I think it's more likely to be boom. I think he's going to be great, and you get a good edge rusher there to help that defensive front. Pick 27, we have the Arizona Cardinals. They did not trade down in this one. They went with Marvin Harrison there at 4. Here we go with Jarzon Newton. They desperately need help on that defensive line all around. I think a couple possibilities. You could go Zach Frazier there, get some help on the interior. I mean, maybe another receiver. I think that's a possibility. That receiving core is pretty bad, but I do think Marvin Harrison gives you the flexibility to go, and focus on several other positions before double dipping at receiver later. Cornerback potentially Kool-Aid McKinstry. They need help there. They need help on the edge. No one I'm willing to take at pick 27. I think if Chop Robinson was there potentially, but I think you go Jarzon New and get the best defensive lineman available. He could be gone before this, or he could be a round 2 pick. I don't know. I've seen him go all over the board, but I like him here at pick 27. Get some help on that defensive line. Pick 28, we have the Buffalo Bills. We are going to go with Adonai Mitchell here. You brought in Mac Hollins and Curtis Samuel, but after losing Stephon Diggs, you really need a wide receiver 1 here. You need that true dominant guy, and I think Adonai Mitchell is that guy. You could go Brian Thomas as well. Both are true, 6'4", 200-pound guys, aggressive jump ball players. I like Adonai Mitchell a little more. It really is just personal preference here. I mean, who knows if either one of these guys are even going to be on the board here. I know a lot of mock drafts have them going earlier than pick 28. But we're going to go Adonai Mitchell here, get Josh Allen, a wide receiver 1. And not that the receiving core is terrible. It's not. But I do think, like I said, they're in need of a true wide receiver 1 there. And I think Adonai Mitchell is that guy for Josh Allen in the long term. Pick 29, Detroit Lions. I think if Chop Robinson was there, they could definitely go with Chop Robinson there. I like Kool-Aid McKinstry there. They need help in the secondary, especially after Cam Sutton got arrested. Who knows if he's even going to be able to go this next season or not. I like Kool-Aid McKinstry. I know Kool-Aid McKinstry, for some reason, it's kind of seemed like he's falling in a lot of drafts, and he's like an early day 2, late round 1 pick. That's what he is in this one, late round 1 pick. But I think people could be surprised. I think there's a big possibility he goes a lot earlier than projected. But for this one, he's going to fall to pick 29, Kool-Aid McKinstry. A couple of different ways. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr., if he's available there, I think the Lions could get aggressive and go with BTJ there. But we're going to go with Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think it would definitely be fun. And if they didn't need such a big need at cornerback, I think they would definitely love to get another receiver there at pick 29. But since Kool-Aid McKinstry is here, they do need a big cornerback need. We're going to go cornerback, pick 29 for the Lions. 2 options here for the Ravens, in my opinion, tackle or wide receiver. Brian Thomas Jr. still here at pick 25. Amarius Mims, they did lose their right tackle this offseason. They need help on the offensive line. But I think Brian Thomas is he's too good to pass up on here. I mean, I think if he fell to 30 and the Ravens didn't choose him, I don't care who else is here. I think they'd be stupid to do that. They need receiving help. Zay Flowers looked really good. He looked very, very solid last season. But even then, they need help. Odell Beckham Jr. is gone. And you really need like a true, big jump ball, dominant wide receiver. I think Brian Thomas is exactly that. I think Adonai Mitchell, if he was there at pick 30, I think they'd go with him. And Brian Thomas wasn't there, they'd probably go with Adonai Mitchell over anything else. But Brian Thomas is here. Amarius Mims, very big possibility. I think he's great. Didn't play a lot this year because he was hurt. And he definitely would be an instant right tackle fill-in there since they lost theirs over the offseason. But, I mean, like I said, Brian Thomas is just too good here not to go with at pick 30. They get another good receiver there for Lamar Jackson. Pick 31, we have the 49ers. I think you got to go interior offensive line here. You got to get help. Amarius Mims, definitely a possibility too. But the main reason I'm going to say Zach Frazier here instead is because I think he kind of has that versatility there to play anywhere on the interior. You could probably move him around, and I've seen a lot of guys say that, he could start at center, and I think he probably would for the Niners, but you could also move him around and put him at guard, either guard as well. Amarius Mims, definitely nice here, and I think, I think we're going to go Amarius Mims. I think Amarius Mims here. I mean, I've seen even like Tyler Guyton mocked to the Niners as well. So there's a couple of different possibilities. And, I did this draft before I recorded it, and I had it lined up where they would take Frazier. But seeing Amarius Mims here, I just can't see him falling. And I guess taking a center in the first round, is debatable unless it's JPJ, just because he has looked so good. We're going to go Amarius Mims here. He's looked so. Like I said, he didn't play a lot this last season because he was hurt, but when he's healthy, he's an absolute unit. He's 6'7", 340 pounds, and he's incredibly athletic as well. For a guy at his size, that's not something you typically see. So I think you get him there to play right tackle opposite of Trent Williams. Again, I had it lined up where they would take Zach Frazier, but we're going to go with Amarius Mims there and change it up here a bit. Again, Amarius Mims, I don't really see him falling. I think there's a possibility he goes much earlier as well, but he fell in this mock draft. Pick 32, last pick of the draft, the Chiefs. Now, Troy Franklin has been mocked here a lot. I don't see them going with a receiver like Troy Franklin. I know a lot of people think they're going to get that speedy receiver, but they really already got that in Marquise Hollywood Brown over the offseason. I think now they're going to be looking for a more assertive jump ball, bigger receiver for Patrick Mahomes to throw to. Rashee Rice, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him and his legal troubles. I don't know. I would imagine he's playing this year. I mean, I think Andy Reid's going to play him as long as he's allowed to. As long as he's allowed to come back and he's not in prison, I think he'll be on the team. But it's something to watch out for, depending on how severe his trial and everything gets down the road with that. Ladd McConkey possibility there. I think Ladd McConkey and Patrick Mahomes would be a very, very scary duo. I mean, Ladd McConkey's ability to create separation there with Patrick Mahomes, and that's pretty scary. Keon Coleman potentially available there. I don't think he'll go in the first round, but it's a possibility. Offensive tackle is where I'm going to go. They need help on the offensive line. They lost their left tackle in free agency, and then their right tackle was not that great. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Let's see. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank here. Offensive tackle, where is it? Can't even find it. Anyways, the point being, here, look here. I'm drawing a blank on the offensive tackles' names for the Chiefs. Juwan Taylor, that's right. Juwan Taylor, Monty Morris, they picked last year out of Oklahoma, and then Juwan Taylor there. So, I mean, Juwan Taylor wasn't great. He had a lot of holding calls, and then they lost their other left tackle, Donovan Smith, in free agency. I like Tyler Guy in here. Very athletic. He looked great, 6'7", 320. And this guy is super athletic, and then factor in that he's 6'7", 320 pounds. I mean, that's pretty great. So with a guy like that, I mean, you could probably try him at left or right tackle. Played right tackle both last year and the year before that. So I would imagine he'd start there. You could move Juwan Taylor over to left tackle or kind of experiment what you want to do there. But a guy like Tyler Guyan, who's super athletic, I mean, you can move him over to left tackle potentially and just see how he does, which is kind of a gift of that athleticism. Ideally, I think you'd want to have Adonai Mitchell or Brian Thomas fall to you here. Neither one do. Cornerback potentially there as well. TJ Champa, I think, is a potential dark horse first rounder for the Chiefs to replace L'Jarius Sneed. But for this one, we're going to go with Tyler Guy in here at pick 32 to finish our one-round mock draft. So here is the final first round mock draft finalized. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I tried to make it as realistic as possible. I know, obviously, there's going to be some things people disagree with, some things people like. Some of them, Terrion Arnold falling, is that really going to happen? 23, falling in quotes. I think he could definitely be like a top 10 player, top 10 draft pick even. Adonai Mitchell, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Amari Sims. It's different. There's going to be different opinions and different takes on every mock draft. But yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys think down below and what you would change, what you liked. I only got 2 videos out for the draft this year. I got the Patriots one out last week, which if you haven't watched that, go watch that. And then this one, a lot of content I'm going to be getting out, though, after the draft. After day 1, I'm going to be getting out a first round recap of all the trades and everything big that goes on, and just recapping all the picks and everything. And then after the whole draft is over, after the 3 days, I'm going to make a separate video specifically focusing on the Patriots and their draft and all their players and any trades they do and everything, just because I am a Patriots fan and I want to get a video specifically for them, just covering their draft. So a lot of content coming out, and then obviously the off-season content, all that will be good as well. So make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any future content. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been your boy, Jay Lay, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.